Join me as I restore these two antique chairs that I bought from a junk shop. As you can see, they're in pretty bad condition. The back of this one is really wobbly, the fabric has been completely destroyed, but the bones were just too good for landfill. Both chairs had been signed in pencil by the original makers and were made in the furniture shop of J. Ridge, a furniture maker from Croydon, in around 1850. The chairs were horsehair, but unfortunately were too mouldy to salvage. The seat webbing had also deteriorated, either because the tacks had rusted away and fallen out, or because the webbing itself had rotted and could now easily be removed by hand. But I still learnt a lot by taking the seat apart and carefully documented each step. In true Victorian fashion, the trim around the seat cushions was actually lead wrapped in velvet and could be easily pushed into the shape of the seat. The tacks to hold this in place had been cast into the lead as well, so whilst deadly, it was a pretty ingenious design and weighed a ton. One of the ways that you can tell that the chair's been made by hand is by examining the spindles. Although they are supposed to all be matching, when you look closely, you can see that actually there are differences between them. In this one, for example, the spindle on the left is much fatter than the spindle on the right, and this shows that they were made by hand. Once the seat had been stripped back to just its wooden frame, all I was left with was lots of rusty tacks, but I was not about to spend a lot of time pulling those out, so they remained, and I simply covered them up with the modern foam. And then it was time to start stripping the old finish back to bare wood. I decided not to stain the wood after it had been stripped, so instead just finished it with a hard wax oil and sanded it to be smooth. Then it was time to rebuild the webbing. This is the most crucial part of keeping your seat strong. Over the webbing comes a layer of hessian and then the upholstery foam covered in cotton batting. This was both for the seat and for the headrest and back support at the back of the chair. And then over all of that was the final fabric layer, and just like that, these chairs were done. There was a lot to be learned from taking these chairs apart, and I'm really pleased with the outcome, although in future projects I would maybe do something differently. But when you look at where they came from to the beginning to where they ended up, I'm really pleased with the result. And the lovely thing about finishing antiques from junk shops, even if you mess it up, they were headed for landfill anyway. And now I've got a beautiful piece of unique history ready for my living room.